Hello, welcome to OJ Studios. Please enjoy this week's chapter of Punishment 2, Return of Amanda, by Olivia Julius. I woke up to Mom yelling up the staircase at me. I rolled my eyes and remained laying in my bed for a few more minutes. The days of the vacation are over, now it is time to go back to school, and go back to being Adam. I groaned as the reality of the new school week sank in. The warm embrace of my cozy bed seemed more enticing than ever, but I knew I couldn't avoid the inevitable. With a sigh, I dragged myself out of bed, my mind still lingering in the carefree days of vacation. As I got dressed, I almost instinctively grabbed one of the dresses that Brittany gave me, but then I stopped myself. Amanda is only a distant memory. Today I have to continue to be Adam, and today I have to wear the boys' uniform. I glanced at the calendar on my wall, the dates reminding me that the days of freedom were indeed over. The weight of responsibility settled on my shoulders like an unwelcome companion. The prospect of facing another week brought a mix of emotions, a combination of reluctance, anticipation, and a hint of nostalgia for the carefree moments that now felt like distant memories. Descending the staircase, I could hear the clatter of dishes in the kitchen and the hurried shuffle of my family getting ready for the day. The aroma of breakfast filled the air, but my appetite seemed to have vanished along with the vacation vibes. "Adam, hurry up! You're going to be late for school," Mom called out, her voice carrying a sense of urgency. I mumbled a response as I trudged into the kitchen, still half lost in my thoughts. The kitchen table was set with a rushed assortment of breakfast items, toast, and cereal. I grabbed a piece of toast, not really tasting it. As I headed out the front door, the crisp morning air hit me, waking me up a little more. The familiar sight of the school bus approaching signaled the end of my brief respite. I climbed aboard, finding an empty seat near the back. My house was one of the first pickup points on the bus route, so there were a few students on the bus. I stared out of the window, my mind still wandering through the remnants of the past few days. The landscape passed by in a blur, and without me noticing more and more students got onto the bus. The bus journey continued, and the once empty seat beside me became occupied by a girl I vaguely recognized. She was wearing a red uniform polo shirt, which meant that she was in the 4th grade, the year lower than me. She had long, dark hair and wore a thoughtful expression. We exchanged nods of acknowledgement, and I returned my gaze to the passing scenery. The chatter of students around me began to fill the air, a stark contrast to the solitude I had grown accustomed to during the break. As the bus pulled into the school parking lot, a surge of nervous energy filled my stomach. The routine of the school day loomed ahead. I walked into Mr. Taylor's room and was surprised to see that no one was in the classroom yet. I sat down at my desk and grabbed my notebook that held my homework assignment that I was supposed to do over the long Easter break. I finished it during the car ride home, but I kept wondering to myself if what I wrote about Joan of Arc was enough or not. I tried to stay away from mentioning that she wore men's clothing, and that she wanted to be in a men's role. Whenever I tried to add anything about gender roles back then, I kept wanting to add in things about Amanda, and I can't do that, not here at least. I didn't see Gracie come into the classroom, only when she stood over me did I notice her standing over me. "Please tell me you are not just now working on your homework," Gracie said, looking down at the paper. "No, I got it done yesterday," I said. "I was just rereading it." Gracie raised an eyebrow, her expression a mix of skepticism and amusement. "Rereading or overthinking?" she teased, a playful grin on her face. I chuckled nervously, feeling a sense of camaraderie with Gracie. She pulled out the chair beside me and sat down, flipping her long hair over one shoulder. As she glanced at my notebook, I couldn't help but feel a twinge of vulnerability. Discussing homework felt like a mundane topic, but it also served as a subtle reminder of the everyday challenges I faced in navigating the complexities of school life. Gracie leaned in, her tone becoming more conspiratorial. "You know, I always find that the more you dwell on it, the more critical you become of your own work. Trust me, your Joan of Arc essay is probably better than you think." I appreciated Gracie's encouragement, a refreshing departure from the self-imposed pressure I often placed on myself. We spent the next few minutes chatting about the assignment, exchanging thoughts and opinions. Other students started to come into the classroom and Gracie went over to her assigned seat. I watched as the classroom started to fill up and eventually Mr. Taylor came in to start class and everyone quieted down. "Good morning, everyone!" Mr. Taylor yelled out. "Good morning!" we all said in unison. "Alright everyone, get out your homework assignments and pass them to the front. We will be starting with history today, just to see how much everyone has remembered, then after PE we will be getting into math." I gave my homework to the boy in front of me and took out my notebook. Mr. Taylor began the history lesson, and my mind gradually shifted from the memories of vacation to the subject at hand. Jeanne d'Arc, or as we know her, Joan of Arc, was a French girl who was born in Domremy-la-Pucelle in the year 1412. Her exact date of birth is unknown. My pen hovered over the notebook, capturing Mr. Taylor's words as he delved into the historical narrative of Joan of Arc. Despite my initial hesitation about including certain details in my assignment, the classroom atmosphere began to pull me into the discussion. Mr. Taylor's animated storytelling brought the past to life, and I found myself absorbed in the tale of a young girl who defied societal norms to lead armies. Then to even my surprise, I put my hand up. Mr. Taylor looked over at me and called my name. "Mr. Taylor, how and why did Joan of Arc start wearing men's clothes?" Mr. Taylor paused, a thoughtful expression crossing his face. "Ah, an excellent question, Adam. Joan of Arc's decision to wear men's clothing was deeply rooted in the circumstances of her time." He continued, providing a historical context for Joan's unconventional choice. During the 100 Years' War, France was in a state of turmoil. Joan, driven by visions she claimed were divinely inspired, believed she had a mission to help the Dauphin, the heir to the French throne, reclaim his rightful place. To gain acceptance among soldiers and be taken seriously, she adopted male attire. Plus, to help defend France, wearing masculine armor and clothes was easier to move around in. I looked over at the dress uniform that Gracie was wearing, and I had to agree that wearing pants while fighting would be way better than wearing a dress while fighting. When asked why she always wore men's clothes she said, quote, "I was admonished to adopt feminine clothes, I refused, and still refuse. As for other avocations of women, there are plenty of other women to perform them." End quote. At the end of her life, after her trial she was forced to wear women's clothes yet again, and she obeyed. And even yelled out, "I am a girl, I am a girl," to save herself from being executed. But 2 or 3 days later, when the judges and others visited her and found her again in male attire, she said she had made the change of her own free will, preferring men's clothes. For that and the crime of heresy she was found guilty. To be honest, the court was stacked against her, the priest that was questioning her favored Britain, so the trial was more about politics and power than a fair assessment of her actions. Eventually, she was convicted and burned at the stake in 1431 at the age of 19. As Mr. Taylor concluded his explanation, the classroom fell into a reflective silence. I found myself contemplating the bravery of Joan of Arc, her unwavering determination to fulfill her mission despite the societal norms of her time. Gracie gave me a subtle nod of approval, and I felt a sense of accomplishment for having brought up a topic that resonated with both history and my own experiences. So, for history homework I want you all to think about a social norm, one that exists today. I want you to write about it and present it to the class tomorrow. Mr. Taylor said, writing the assignment on the whiteboard. The assignment hung in the air, and the classroom buzzed with the shuffling of papers as students prepared to delve into the task. I pondered for a moment, considering the various social norms that surrounded me. Mr. Taylor looked at his watch and clapped his hands together. "Well, it looks like it's time for PE. He said he was almost too happy to get rid of us for an hour. We got up and got into a single file line. We all left the room and down the hallway. As we did so, Gracie stopped me before we got to the locker rooms. "I got an idea!" she whispered. "What?" I whispered back. "I can't tell you now, but I'll see if I can't get my parents to allow you over tonight. If we work together, we can get an A on this assignment." "Fine!" I whispered. "But this better not have anything to do with Amanda," I warned. "Not making promises," Gracie whispered back. She then turned and walked into the girls' locker room. I rolled my eyes, and walked into the boys' locker room.